So today is the day we've got to go through some boxes to talk about what we need to talk about. I really hope it's in this box because there's another box of Old Testament stuff that is somewhere down there, and I really don't want to try to get to it. So, there we go, right there. Today we're talking about Numbers. Finished up Leviticus, doing Numbers today, but we also have to do a little bit more work. And I got these things to fix what else I have to work on. My overhead rig. The Pentateuch, first 5 books of the Old Testament, are a narrative, and they're a little bit different of a narrative than we think they might be. And I actually saw this for the first time when I was reading Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. And this is why I think readings like the 30-Day Shred are super important. So you have the Pentateuch, these first 5 books, and it is a long narrative, but we don't think about it as a narrative. And then oftentimes we get in these situations to where we think that these books are complicated because we're trying to read them linear. Now, I did all of this work and made this incredibly, the whole thing got busted in the move. I need to make a new overhead rig. But I did all this because I want to talk about the way that we sometimes see narrative, how narrative is in the Bible, and what does it mean for us to just really begin to explore some of these things. And I'm going to do that with some drawings, because drawings are just a lot easier. So I want to talk about the book of Numbers, but really about the whole Pentateuch and the story that's told and how that story is told. And so let's talk about maybe why we often find books like Leviticus and Numbers to be a little bit of a struggle bus. So this is the way that we want stories to be told. They have a hard beginning, they have a hard ending, and there's a clear and linear pathway that's told in chronological sequence, and all of the details of the story are told to us in chronological sequence as well, so we can easily figure out what's going on. And this is the way the world's worked for like the 20th century, well, kind of the 21st century, and maybe the 19th century. This is the way it's worked in the modern age. We want things to be controlled, we want things to be factual, we want things to be propositional, so therefore we try to read the Bible like that. And it was never supposed to be like that. We've got to look at the way the authors are trying to tell us this story. And we've got to ask ourselves the question, how was this story told originally? And perhaps what was the point of this story being told? Back to Numbers and Leviticus. So instead, what we see sometimes in Scripture can look like this. This is hashtag Leviticus, but this really isn't what's happening. So when we realize that a lot of times books of the Bible are actually talking about things going on at the same time, and they're repeating things, and they're always trying to expand on things. And so a lot of times the story is told with a narrative device like that. And in the case of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, what we actually see going on is the same story being told, 3 different purposes, and they ebb and flow, and at times they intersect, and at times they go all over the place. And what we see is these points of intersection, and where we find these points of intersection and we can mark these points and places, then oftentimes we're beginning to see the whole wider story of what's going on. So Exodus is narrative, Deuteronomy is about holiness, is about difference, And Numbers is about the struggle of sin and the struggle of difference. And that's just kind of what I've quickly figured out over these last few days. This is a great example of why readings like the 30-Day Shred are important, because I've read the Pentateuch I don't know how many times. And it might just be over the last few years I've become interested in chronological readings, but now I would say I'm fairly comfortable understanding how these 3 books work because I read them in 3 days. So I'm taking the weekend off from videos, not from reading. I'll be back with a new video on Monday, and it will probably be a kind of conglomeration of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I will see you again on Monday morning in the video. If you like these things, do me a favor. If you've got a YouTube channel, share it on your community feed. And second, if you don't, give this a share on Facebook. I'd love to have more people come and hang out in the comments and ask questions and that sort of thing. So until Monday, I'm Chad, and I will see you then.